Hi all. Hope everyone is doing okay in these difficult times. A lot to talk about today. If I sound a little bit crispy, it's because I am not well. That's why I've been away a few days. So do excuse me if I suddenly just mute the mic. It's just because I need to cough. But yeah, I needed a break because I have been ill, unfortunately. Just suddenly got this awful cough from nowhere. But it's clearing up now. So I'm back. I'm back. Nice to see you all here. Please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe button, please. Let's see. Hey, Connie. Hey, Wendy. Oh my goodness, Mrs. S. You are in the hospital in LA. I had quite an emergency a few days ago. I'm so sorry to hear that. And I'm also really flattered that of all the things you could be listening to, you're listening to me while in the hospital. Thank you. Hey, Patricia. Hey, Lottie. Hey, all the usual. Love to see you here. Megan's Jam. I love your username. I love your username, Megan's Jam. Yes, Megan's Jam is jamming and selling millions of bottles, according to the haters. Here we are being absolutely lazy fans, and it's Megan's haters are doing a better job than us, guys. Like, come on. Can you guys obsess a little bit harder? Like, it's getting embarrassing. It's really getting embarrassing how much more the haters are obsessed with Megan than us, guys. Come on. We need to amp up the stan behavior. We're being lazy. I mean, did any of you know that Megan has 365 million bottles of jam in stock? No, you didn't. A hater had to tell you that. Oh, these people make me laugh. Because what? Are you serious? uh, oh, oh my gosh. Okay, let's just get to it. Okay, the first thing I want to just acknowledge, I don't know how much further this goes, without there being some serious pushback and retaliation, against the current regime in the United States. So, and just for the record, this isn't actually the first person who has been unalived by an ICE agent in the United States. This is the first one that has really, I think, hit the news because of the nature of it, the fact that it was on video, and the way in which the administration has lied. But this is Renee Good, a 37-year-old mother. She was shot 3 times by an ICE agent in Minneapolis. Shout out to, I think, Hilton and some of the other hotels in the area that are not giving any accommodation to ICE, and all of the people who have come and taken to the streets, bravely taken to the streets in a peaceful way. Because one thing that I've realized about this current regime in the United States is, and let me just say to African Americans, especially in the United States, well done for staying on code. The message went out and you have stayed on code. Do not go out into the streets, at least not yet. That was the message that was sent out, because you know what they wanted? They wanted Black and brown bodies on the streets. They wanted communities being lit up and chaos. And then you know what they were going to do? They were going to put in martial law. That was going to be their entryway to put in martial law. And you have been very smart so far by not giving them what they want. Now, granted, I think we're getting closer to the time where collectively everybody has to come out. But I think that for this regime, things are just not going exactly the way they wanted to, which is why they're behaving more and more desperate and being more aggressive. This is horrific. This is a shame on the United States government. But I think it's just also just bringing to light that for things to even get to this point, the very foundations were always shaky, even before Trump came in, to be honest. But with him and who is backing him now in power, it's like everything is just amped up. Um, Truly evil, truly uncalled for. They have tried to spin a narrative that she was in the wrong. The video is very, very clear. She's not in the wrong. She was unarmed. And also this was a white woman. Um and so I don't know what story they're going to try to spin now. Why was she being accosted? Quite frankly, they shouldn't be accosting anyone because I think what ICE agents are just they should be illegal and what they're doing is illegal. But what narrative are they going to spin now? Because they can't spin the dehumanizing she's an immigrant narrative. So what narrative are they going to spin now? I guess they're trying to go with the fact that she was a lesbian. She was there with her wife, so they're trying to dehumanize her in that way because that's the only thing that they can latch onto. But they can't use their usual narrative to dehumanize this person and make an excuse. My heart just really hurts. These are the type of things that you would typically see in failed or unstable democracies in underdeveloped countries, not in the United States. And then there's been this weird talk about Trump invading Greenland, and it's just there's so much to say that I struggle to even put together my words. But I know a lot of you are from the States, um, and you probably know what I would say if I could find the words, because I just don't have them. I just don't have them. And this story has I really, really traveled. It's traveled. It's news all over the place. Truly worrying. Um, I Sooner rather than later, I think there has to be collective pushback, some kind of coup and disarming of this regime. Because if this is where we are now, how much further do we go? What's even more crazy about these so-called ICE agents is that, and maybe somebody who is American could explain this to me, is it if the Second Amendment allows you to defend yourself, is it against the law to fire back at an ICE agent? Because also my understanding of part of the reason why America allows guns, or this is the reason, or one of the reasons I've always heard from the pro-gun lobby, was so you would never have a situation where the government could overrun the people. That was one of the reasons why. Personal self-defense and also self-defense against higher government. So if you now have a government that is behaving in this way, where are all the Second Amendment people? I'm confused. What gives these so-called ICE agents the right to shoot someone, attack people, be violent? Because it's one thing to just round people up and deport them. It's another thing to round them up violently, be brutal. It's the brutality of it. The brutality of it. Not just put them on a plane and fly them somewhere. Violently smashing them to the floor, violently arresting them, putting them in these detention centers. We don't even know what's happening to them Family members can't even see them and reach them. We don't even know what the conditions in these detention centers are, literally torturing people. And then we don't even know where or when they get deported to. It's the cruelty of it that is just so insane. And this is legal because what do these ICE agents, these people, do they actually have legal protections under United States law, or what? I'm just so confused how this is happening. Carter said, I heard that very message on a podcast today, staying home and only going out for personal business. Yeah. I mean, I think that there is going to be a time when that's not possible. But I think people of a brown hue need to be careful and very mindful. Glenn, you said, I hope there is some way or some law the Americans can get the orange man out of power. Yes, and this is a white woman. Can you imagine even more if it was black people? Yeah, I mean, I'm learning that things that I assumed about the United States were just wrong in my mind. Like, I always thought that there was some kind of measurements in place if you had a president like this to put some, like that, like there was just some protections, and I'm so confused. I'm just so confused. Like the certain ideas that I had are just being completely dismantled. Kaji said, I would not fire back unless they are on your personal property without a warrant from a judge. But okay, so what about in states where you actually have open carry? Can you fire back in those places? And again, I don't think this should be happening to anyone under any circumstances. But if we're going by their own rules, this lady was not an illegal immigrant. So why was she being targeted? Like, what's even going on now? Anyway, I know that a lot of you are from the States, and I wanted to acknowledge that my heart truly goes out to you all. And yeah, I don't know where this is gonna go, but something has to happen real quick. Something has to happen really, really quick, because this can't go any further than this. Prayers for her and her family. Okay. Next thing. This just popped up within the hour. Harry and Meghan talking to these two parents who Jonathan and Catherine, who wrote a book called An Amazing Generation. And they're talking about the cost of phone-based childhoods and the way in which parts of childhood have been chipped away because of electronic devices. Now, if you are listening to this and you do have children, I would definitely try to discourage phone use as much as possible. I believe that phone use, the digital age is going to create a two-tier class system, or at least it's going to reinforce certain class systems that we already have. I know that at a lot of private schools, where I think there's a lot more community between the parents, there are a lot of the private schools now are agreeing, no phones, and even the parents that have children that go to these schools and that are wealthy are trying to encourage their kids to go out more, to read more, to just get away from the tablets, get away from the AI. get away from the streaming. I do believe that a lot of these young streamers, these Twitch streamers, the Kai Cenats and all of this, I do believe that they are contributing to antisocial behaviors, um and all types of behavioral issues in young children and young teens. These are their role models now, and I find it very, very, very scary. So definitely, this is a fantastic initiative from Harry and Meghan. And I love that they're really putting it into action, creating networks for parents, creating information, highlighting other experts in the field, not just putting themselves at the center. And this is actually a segment that was done for Oprah, and highlighting other, parents who have had to become experts because of this issue. So, this on Oprah Daily. Definitely go watch it. It was a very sweet segment. Meghan looks so fresh. Look at her looking at her man, her man, her man, her man. And brava to Harry and Meghan for once again highlighting such a brilliant and worthy cause. Because this is definitely something we need to be talking about. Just this week there was a scandal on Twitter because of Gork. Men were using Gork to undress women, and even ChatGPT and some of these other AI have certain rules and ways of stopping this type of content targeted towards women and children, because it's mostly men doing this, women and children. But Gork, run by that orange man's friend Elon, doesn't have these protections for people. So a very, very timely issue, and I'm so glad that Harry and Meghan picked this to focus on. Electra, I didn't have a cell phone until I was almost in my 30s. I grew up on landlines and used that. I mean, I got my first mobile. When did I get my first mobile phone? Gosh, I was actually quite young. I mean, we're going all the way back to the Nokia brick day. I can't actually remember exactly when I got a mobile phone, but I remember I was very young, and I remember the only thing you could do is, text, call, and play Snake. Like, and and then even with very, very early social media, you had the chat rooms, you had the mice, but people, I don't think, again, with these technologies, they were really thinking about seatbelts and safety measures. And it seems like the same mistake is being made over and over again. As incredible as many of these technologies and systems and platforms that we use are, I think it goes to just show when um women don't have decision making space, and maybe aren't given as much funding or space to create these platforms, safety measures just aren't put in. I'm going back as far as I remember AOL. There used to be AOL chat rooms. And I remember there used to be like AOL teen chat rooms. Now, granted, I used to be in those chat rooms and they were very innocent. I don't think I ever came across anyone who was weird. But thinking back now, it would have been very easy back in those days for predators to um find vulnerable people, find vulnerable children. And in the evolution of the internet, at every point where we've had chances to put in more safety measures, it just hasn't been done. Yeah, kids don't go out and play anymore. Oh my god, I saw this hilarious tweet the other day, and it was like, oh, do you know why we don't have bands like Blink 182 anymore? It's because boys aren't in the garages trying to be a boy band, trying to be a rock band. And it's so true. Whatever happened to, I remember being a teenager and like kids wanting to be in bands and learning guitar and singing, and it's true. It's true. It's had a massive effect. We need to go outside. Well, we need to get the ICE agents off the streets first and then go outside. Okay, next thing. Let's have a look at oh no, that is the wrong slide. Give me one sec, folks. Okay. Meghan's weirdo troll fans. So this now went from something that a troll was, showing to her audience, and I don't know why she decided to make a big deal out of it, but it was such a self-own. Like, this is how delusional the haters are. So, from Celebritry, as we discussed, Reddit and the British media were shocked by some news about the Duchess of Sussex and her As Ever brand this week. Long story short, they've learned that As Ever has thousands of products stocked in inventory. Less than a year since As Ever went online, Meghan has worked out her supply chain for the most part, and she's moving a lot of products. The criticism last spring was about As Ever selling out constantly and Meghan not having enough in stock. Well, now she has enough in stock. I mean, except for the apricot and raspberry jams, which are still sold out. Meghan's critics and haters can't decide why they're mad or what conspiracy to push now that they've learned that As Ever is a functional business with ample supplies for certain products. The Daily Fells hate fest is currently glitching out because they now believe that Meghan has sold 1 million jams. Meghan has leveraged her fame to sell over 1 million jams and now plans to launch her lifestyle business globally, sources suggest. I mean, what sources? It's just obvious if you don't believe the propaganda. Earlier this week, Internet Sleuth exploited a glitch on the Duchess of Sussex's As Ever website, which revealed a vast amount of unsold inventory. Now, I said at the time that it was definitely a glitch because I've never been to a website and you can put in like 10,000 in the inventory. But to take but one example, her signature fruit box had a total of over 130,000 units available, which many Reddit users initially gleefully pounced upon as a sign of flagging sales. But sources now suggest that was the amount left over from an initial order of 1 million jars. The Sun reported, given that the spread box sells for $31, this means that single product alone would have generated over 26 million in sales. I think it's fair to say business isn't just successful, it's flying off the shelf. Meghan inadvertently revealed that 1 million jams were ordered for that one product. Well, I mean, of course, they're going to need lots of units available so that it doesn't sell out. And if they've got that many units, to me, that's a sign that they're probably getting ready for international shipping. They're probably getting ready for wholesale. So, I mean, what do you want? And I mean, these are jams are have a long shelf life. So they can be sitting there all year before they get sold. Not to look a gift horse in the mouth, but I don't think the British royalists are good at math. When Meghan spoke about needing to order 1 million jam jars, she didn't specify that the jars were just for certain jam gift boxes or whatever. Of course, I absolutely believe that she's already sold more than 1 million jams. I can believe that too. Just as I believe that Meghan's talk of needing 1 million jars is probably just part of the first wave of resupplies. Just the fact that raspberry and apricot are still sold out shows Meghan is constantly having to make adjustments to commit to huge restocks. Meanwhile, Newsweek had more about the big As Ever news. So yeah, they go on about the jams a bit more. And then to end, the article says, I think As Ever had a really successful holiday season as well. And it was smart to offer specific seasonal product and gift boxes. I bought the jam box for a neighbor, and I imagine that was quite common. Yeah, a lot of people have been buying it, as gifts. I mean, you had one lady who spent, oh, actually multiple squaddies who spent thousands, in the thousands. So excuse me for making sure we have the jam. This has got to be the weirdest cell phone of any hate campaign I've ever seen. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit and go on to the story about Bridget Marquand. I don't really care for Bridget Marquand. She's shown herself to be anti-woman many, many times. She called feminist activists who were speaking out against abuse and sexual assault effing bees. she's just a weird one. The reason I'm touching on this article about the whole um internet sleuths and trolls um um trying to suggest that she was born a man is because I think that this could potentially lay the foundation for lawsuits in the future by public figures. And I think we're actually seeing a whole bunch of lawsuits that are now setting the precedent, whether it's Bridget Macron or, Megan the Stallion. She's had a couple wins against internet bloggers. And who was it? Was it Cardi B who won against Tasha K? And so when I see things like this, I'm like, is there something in here that Meghan and Harry could follow? So let's have a read of this. 10 people have been convicted of online harassment of Bridget Macron. Last year, French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Bridget Macron decided to sue several people who have made extremely false claims about them. Specifically, these were people who had monetized their hate and transphobia online. And these people were promoting a lie that Bridget Macron was trans. While Bridget Macron is a problematic person, she never deserved to be harassed in this way or to be targeted with these lies across national and international media. Now, one of the people was, of course, Candace Owens and several French personalities. Bridget also produced evidence that she was born a female and she's always been a cisgender woman. Obviously, she's already winning her cases. So 10 people who falsely claim that Bridget Macron, France's First Lady, was born a male were found guilty on Monday of online harassment. The 8 men and 2 women, 3 of whom were tried in absentia, were given a range of sentences. One received a 6-month jail sentence. Other punishments stretched from mandatory online harassment awareness training to an 8-month suspended jail sentence. Sorry, folks, one sec. The court also fined each 600 euros. I don't think that's enough, and ordered them to contribute a total of 10,000 euros, about 12,000 in compensation to Miss Macron. But I don't think that's enough to actually put people off, to be honest. 5 of those convicted were also barred from using the social media platform involved in the case X for 6 months. They were tried after posting messages and photos on social media that wrongly suggested that Miss Macron, the wife of President Emmanuel Macron, was born a boy called Jean-Michel Trognou, the name of her older brother. The several defendants tried in person denied wrongdoing, variously saying their posts are either meant in jest or constituted legitimate debate. Only one apologized. The case was seen as a symptom of a toxic online culture in which growing numbers of internet users driven by resentment of mainstream leaders and distrust in the news media are increasingly drawn to conspiracy theories and false information. Mr. Macron has cited the case to amplify a broader campaign against misinformation, which includes a contentious proposal to issue certifications that differentiate professional news networks from other websites. The Macrons are separately suing Candace Owens for slander in the United States in the second of 5 lawsuits that the couple or their relatives have filed against people who spread rumors about the family. So the New York Times reports most defendants argued the equivalent of free speech and free debate of public political figures. I don't think the argument went very far, especially since the defendants are some of the worst offenders, really pushing the false conspiracies about Bridget's gender and bringing her private family members into delusional utterances. I do believe that this kind of thing constitutes online harassment and defamation. I can't wait for the Macrons to take down Candace Owens too. Well, Candace is going to get her time. But this gives me some hope that some of the worst trolls, the worst Meghan and Harry trolls, can be taken down. Or at least brought to justice in some way. And there's a few, I try not to mention their names here, who really are just the worst of the worst. I believe there are actually accounts I've come across of sorry, of people creating fake images of the Sussex children with Down syndrome. And some of these videos get hundreds of thousands of views, hundreds of thousands. These people are making so much money. So I'm hoping that this is a sign. I'm so sure that Harry and Meghan's people have likely been collecting evidence, and one day they're going to come with a lawsuit. That day's just not today. But this gives me hope. Okay, let's read some of your comments and we'll move on. Let's see. You lot talking about your childhoods, going outside having fun. Yeah, I want the chocolate bars back from As Ever as well. I hope they do them next season. They look delicious. And international shipping. Yeah, I think that's coming. Oh, Benjamin, did I get your donation? Hang on a sec. Give me a sec. Yes, I did. I did get the donation. Thank you for the free coffees. Thank you, R. Carter, for the coffee. And there was somebody who bought me a coffee. Oh, Rebecca Arthur, you bought 5 coffees. Oh, and R. Carter, you also bought 3 coffees on January the 3rd. And Linda Mackins, you bought 5 copies on January the 1st. And Jackie, you also bought me a coffee on New Year's Eve. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of you so much. The extra donations really do go far, especially in January and February. As a content creator, I can tell you that ad revenue spend is all the way down. So your extra donations really do mean a lot, and I appreciate it. Heather, you said deranged so busy being deranged, don't know they outed themselves for ignorance. Indeed. Yeah, people have no lives. They need to get outside. I mean, of all the things you can go after a political figure for, yeah, trying to make a name for themselves out of fake scandals. Isn't that what Candace does all day? All right, on to the next thing. Yeah, let's get on to this. One sec. Now, there was an article that just came out about the royals and their helicopter spend. Only for William and the kids to be papped coming out of a helicopter. Now, it's quite interesting because, first of all, those type of articles hardly ever come out. And then, all of a sudden, when we never get paparazzi pictures, a pap picture of William and the kids getting out of a helicopter. And now some people are suggesting, and well, they have been suggesting for a while, the move of the houses, the strange choice of Forest Lodge, the 150 acres of land, people not being able to see what's going on, and maybe that's the reason why they chose that piece of land. I mean, I'm not going to speak on what I don't know. We don't want to be a hater troll, but I see what I see, and we've all been seeing what we see and can see for some time. And all I have to say is this, really. I don't really care what's going on, in terms of William and Kate's marriage and the kids or whatever. It's the fact that if it was Harry and Meghan, if this picture was Harry and Meghan and Harry and Meghan's kids, there would be so much conversation. There would be so much theorizing. There would be so much conspiracizing. But that same level of scrutiny is not applied to William and his family. Not that I think it should be, but the disparity is just so obvious and has been for some time. And they want to write whole articles about Meghan's jam. Now, William and Kate are obviously going to be the future monarchs. I think the public do have a certain right to know about certain things. Now, do I think that William and Kate will divorce? At this point, I actually don't know. But if you think about it, the British public are essentially just paying for a pantomime. I would even just prefer if William and Kate came out and said, you know what, we are separated or we are going to divorce and we're co-parenting. It's the facade, it's the charade, just to keep this so-called fairy tale going. And we're paying millions for it. Benjamin, you said, this may sound weird, but I kind of like not seeing Harry and Meghan's kids' faces. That's the true flex. I'm not sure they will do that with Charles's funeral. They will be criticized either way. Yeah, because the whole thing about royal children, and now that I'm older, I can see how weird it is. They literally bring that kid out straight fresh out the womb, dragging royal women who have just given birth out of the hospital, having to put them in hair and makeup and all the rest of it when they've just given birth and they're exhausted, standing outside the hospital, weirdos taking pictures. And it's all in the name of creating this parasocial relationship with the royal, literally from the day they come out the womb. And so you start obsessing over them and doing your present bow literally from day one. I don't think we need to see royal children at all. If the parents want to show them in a protected capacity, as Harry and Meghan have been doing, then so be it. If Harry and Meghan never want to show their children ever again, so be it. There doesn't need to be any interest in royal children, period. Because the interest in royal children, first of all, is creepy as hell, they're children. Secondly, it's all just part of building this parasocial relationship. And I think that this generation of royal children, Charlotte, Louis, George, this needs to be the last of this. This needs to be the last of this. When Louis, George, Charlotte, if they do have children, we shouldn't even know who the children are. I'm sorry. Hopefully by then also, they also won't be taxpayer funded. But we don't need to keep playing this silly circus. There's no need for it. Black Queen, you said they are so mad that Meghan refused to do it. That's why they are so mad. Yeah, their babies, that they said the babies don't exist. Yeah, because Meghan never gave access to their kids. The babies apparently don't exist. They either don't exist or they're making fake videos and pictures, making the kids look like they have disorders and diseases. Like, this is how screwed up and weird these people are. Absolute savages. Like, some of these people actually, they need help. They really need help. They're truly unwell. Okay, that's that. Now there was this. Apparently Camilla is not happy, and Charles apparently also is not happy about this Arise Queen Kate feature in the Times. This is echoing a lot of the narratives that we saw last year that William's people was briefing about, right? This William's getting ready for his coronation. William's, getting ready to be king. They even had a Channel 5 documentary where they had a fake announcement of Charles's death. The absolute audacity. Yeah, the audacity. And now it seems like they're doing a similar thing with Kate. Granted, it's all kind of surrounding her birthday. They do this every single year. They do like a profile of her. Um, and they chose this Arise Queen Kate. Now, obviously, we know that Queen with the very small Q, Camilla, is very mad about this. And also, whenever you see these articles, they're basically just saying, "Oh, we can't wait for the others to die," because there's not going to be any arising for Queen Kate until Charles is dead. Not going to be any King William until Charles is dead. So when they do these type of articles, of course Charles and Camilla feel threatened. Of course they're mad. And we've had at least 2 briefings from the palace saying exactly that. Dear oh dear, imagine what type of life is this? So last week, the Times published an exclusive piece ahead of Kate's 44th birthday. The piece was more of the same standard issue keenery about Kate being such a diligent worker, all evidence to the contrary, and having a good marriage, all evidence to the contrary, and how she's in charge of her fashion, which I can completely buy, of course, as you can see from this image. Over the weekend, the piece ran in the Times magazine with a cover photo from the Caribbean Flop Tour and the cover line Arise Queen Kate. This has gone over quite badly with King Charles and Queen Camilla. Well, of course. So the cover arrived as recent polling showed Queen Camilla remains stubbornly unpopular, while Catherine is touching highs previously only ever enjoyed by the late Queen Elizabeth II. Although the British media have tended to repeat a palace line that Camilla has won over the British people through her no-nonsense style and ageless, tireless work ethic. That is a goddamn lie. So both Charles and Camilla understand that William and Kate were not responsible for the headline. They have also, though, come to the conclusion that the couple and their team are now actively positioning themselves as monarchs in waiting as opposed to patient and dutiful heirs, a friend of the king told the royalists. Well, that has been very apparent since you started seeing articles in the Daily Fail about William, practically just picking out his robes. Apparently, William wants the Sussex's titles removed. Tell us something we don't know. William believes that Harry is clearly violating the terms of the Sarandom Summit. Listen, that summit meant nothing, at which the terms of his and Meghan's exit from the royal family were negotiated and should be punished by having his titles fully removed in the same way that Andrew has. Well, you know what? Meghan sold 1 million jams, so remove the titles. I'm sick of hearing about these titles. I think we all are sick of hearing about these titles. The titles which, gentle reminder, in the Netflix documentary, Harry and Meghan themselves said that they wanted to give over. So I guess when the time comes, William keeps on briefing that he wants the titles taken when Harry and Meghan said that they were going to offer to give them the titles. So do you know what I think is happening here? They keep briefing that William wants to take the titles because I think when it finally comes to it, right, when Charles is finally gone, I don't think that Harry and Meghan will put up any fight. They had already offered, I repeat, from the horse's mouths, Harry and Meghan themselves, in the Netflix documentary, they had already offered to give up the titles. So when the time comes and Charles is gone, that'll probably be the first thing that Harry and Meghan do because that's what William wants. But you know what I think is going to happen? They're going to try and spin it as William took the titles, not as Harry and Meghan gave up the titles, because that gives power to Harry and Meghan. And they can't run with the narrative that Harry and Meghan are using those titles for their own gain. Not that Harry and Meghan even need those titles, because they're just Harry and Meghan to a lot of people. No disrespect. I mean that in a way of Harry and Meghan, the name just like that, has power without the title. But I think William is so desperate to make it look like he's going to take them. They're going to be handed over and Harry and Meghan will go about their business in peace. That's what I see. So never forget that William basically had a full nervous breakdown following Charles and Harry's meeting. Never forget that what shocked William most of all was that the meeting was well received by royal reporters and the British media. And never forget that the meeting came sandwiched in between Harry drawing large crowds in England and his trip to Ukraine. William was beside himself with rage and jealousy. As for all of the ranting about William and Kate's overwhelming popularity, the emotional support polls are rigged, I tell ya. I also think Charles and Camilla have every right to be irritated by William and Kate's briefing. There's a lot of anger, jealousy, and resentment between these two couples, and only some of it has to do with Harry. Harry is being scapegoated here again, as he always is. Also, I believe that William blames Harry for everything under the sun, from Kate's health to the frantic need for emotional support polls, to William's own failings, stupidity, and laziness. But the blame is all on William. All on him. Because he's done this to himself because of the jealousy that he has for his brother. By the way, that dress that Kate is wearing, if she looks different in this picture, it's because this is an earlier Kate picture from 2015. She's wearing a Tabitha Webb dress. Now, Tabitha Webb has been one of Kate's go-to designers for some time. She has several pieces in her closet and archives as well. And yet she has gone into insolvency. I don't know how many of these companies now have gone into insolvency. The tabloids keep saying that Kate has the Midas touch. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Now, let Meghan wear a pair of jeans and the factory is having to expand the factory. Many people argue that all of these closures, collapses, and insolvencies have little to do with Kate, perhaps, but at the same time, all of the brands are collapsing. I don't think they're collapsing because of Kate. What's happening here is the narrative that Kate bolsters brands is just not true, and it's being proven by the fact that these fashion houses keep collapsing. So the Kate effect isn't really a thing, or at least not anymore. Maybe it used to be. So far, Tabitha Webb is now insolvent. LK Bennett has also collapsed. Senif, Seraphine, and McQueen did some mass layoffs and reconstructing. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fashion houses with issues. But they keep telling us about the Kate effect. Okay. If you say so. The numbers are telling a different story. The insolvencies are telling a different story. All right, let's go to your comments. Let's have a look. Carter said, I believe this mag cover was the reason for the co-parenting video leak. That could have been it. That could be Camilla and Charles playing games, because you literally never see them papped. You never see them papped coming out of a helicopter, and coming out of the helicopter with the kids, with the overnight bags. Sounds like it could be something to do with the palace, with with Charles and Camilla, that side of the palace. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they, yeah, the tabloids would blame Meghan for putting them out of business. I mean, the British high street has been struggling, recession, layoffs, all the rest of it. The economy, cost of living, all of these things do contribute. But of course, if it was Meghan, it would be Meghan's fault. But when Meghan actually helps brands get a boost, they pretend like that doesn't happen. All right, folks. I think we can leave it there. Thank you so much for coming. Do try and make time to, you know, block out the noise. I know it's hard. You know, sometimes even for me, even though I focus on royal news, my feed, I get a lot of cross contamination from from other news stories as well. So even for me, like looking through the stories every day, it can get quite depressing, especially if you're an empath. And unfortunately, I think we've been very desensitized to what's going on. So do try and take breaks. I do try and take breaks. Sorry if I can't show up every single day, but it does weigh on you. It really does weigh on you. And I've been trying to regulate, at least at the beginning of the year, I've been trying to give myself a little bit more breathing time. Otherwise, I know I will just get burnt out and then I won't be able to show up for y'all at all. So I've scaled it back a little bit at the beginning of the year just so I can have some momentum in other parts of life and not have to deal with so much of the mental noise of the constant news cycle. But please stick around. Don't worry, podcasts are going to be a lot more regular. But I did need some space, and then I got sick anyway, so my my body had to rest. Oh, thank you so much, Eleanor. Thank you, all of you. Have a fantastic day, and I definitely need to hop on. Me and Baron, I don't think we've ever actually done a cross podcast. We need to do that, and I definitely need to go and hang out with you guys over there, on a live. I do like hopping on Baron's lives, but I just have not had any time. But I'll try and catch one soon. All right, folks. See you tomorrow. Ciao.